I would say that Shadowplay is about love, sexuality, creativity, and disobedience, unconventionality. It's about a group of characters who choose to live outside the set rules of society. And it takes as its starting point the real life, remarkable story of the very ardent, intense friendship between the author Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula, the great Shakespearean actor Henry Irving, and the brilliant actress Ellen Terry. And I suppose it focuses on a period of 8 or 10 years in the lives of these three really remarkable artists and the very particular love that they had for each other. My understanding and my love for Dracula, for the novel Dracula, I would say, has deepened over the process of writing Shadowplay. I mean, I've always loved the book from the first time that I ever read it. But I suppose technically my appreciation for it has just so deepened. I think it's a really remarkably accomplished piece of storytelling. I love how it experiments with different registers of language. It's told in diary form, in letter form, with an amazing kind of urgency that really makes it hard for you to stop reading. I love the modernity that Stoker brings to his vampire story. He was very far from the first person, the first author to put a vampire at the heart of a story. But what Stoker does that's so revolutionary is in bringing Dracula to the London of his readers. He presents the possibility that the vampire could be the person sitting beside you on the tram. The vampire could be the person walking past you on Oxford Street. They're really chilling, frightening scenes where Dracula's living in a derelict townhouse on Piccadilly. And I just love that kind of brilliantly dramatic storytelling sense that I think Stoker must have got from his work with Irving and Terry, to make Dracula not just a story but a real dramatic performance. And I love that about the book. I've tried to bring some sense of that in tribute to Shadowplay. I think Dracula endures more than a century after Stoker's death in so many different languages and forms. There have been movie versions and translations and operas and ballets and all of that, because of a brilliant thing that Stoker does, which is to make his villain slightly somebody who you're rooting for. Dracula is a very evil character, but the more you read of the book, the more you realize that the evil comes from a kind of brokenness, from a failed love. So even as you're cheering for the forces of good, you're slightly rooting for Count Dracula too. So he's sort of the original bad boy. You wouldn't really mind if Dracula escaped. And I think that's a very clever and interesting decision on Stoker's part, that the world of Dracula is one of moral shadows. It's not nearly as clear-cut as we think. So to that extent, even though it's a mythic book and a supernatural book, it has odd resonances with the real world that we all have to live in. I think my feelings about the supernatural probably change from day to day and probably change from daytime to nighttime. But I think I would find it hard to be an artist or a storyteller if I didn't have some belief that we are more than we appear to be. And the fact that something isn't true doesn't mean that it can't be believed. I mean, I believe in Wuthering Heights, despite the fact that it never happened. I believe in Fagin and the Artful Dodger, and I believe in Count Dracula. So, we are more than our physical beings. And I think without that sense, we wouldn't have storytelling. We know that there is an other world and that we need to have some kind of access to it. So whether you call that escapism or whether you call it high art, to me it doesn't make much difference. It's just the notion of wanting to escape, to transcend our ordinary bodily, everyday selves. And I certainly do believe in that, and I believe in that very passionately. I don't know that I could write if I didn't.